And we're doing these as mini-sodes, right?
Yes, ideally.
Okay. Ideally. Okay, hold on. Let me gather my thoughts. Hey Jabbers, we are back today with another mini-sode, and today we are talking about wedding burnout. And we're going to kind of share our thoughts on when we realized we were burnout in this industry and how we handle that and how we go about avoiding burnout as we continue on this path of this business and in our careers. And so listen, we all know we love this industry. We love serving our clients, but at the end of the day or at the end of the wedding season, we can all admit we're exhausted and we're tired and we've probably broken a boundary or two. So we want to touch base a little bit on like why is burnout so common in the wedding industry and how do we make this job sustainable for us to continue doing it year after year, and how we can set those boundaries in place for ourselves and for our clients.
Yes. And I think the first thing we should note, Carrie, is that we're wedding. Well, I guess it depends where you're located, but I think it's a very seasonal business, right? Like we have times of the year where it's crickets and we're just nothing's happening. And then there's times like spring and fall where we are back to back to back to back. And I think that's where a lot of this burnout mentality or feelings start to happen. And it's part of the nature of the business. Like we are expected to be like energizer bunnies that are going nonstop during spring and fall. And then we come out of fall and we crash and we're just like dead to the world in winter. I don't know about you, but that's kind of how it's felt for the last few years. But then I almost have like amnesia about it when the end of winter comes around. I'm like, that wasn't so bad. And here we go again.
Oh, for sure. I always feel like the last wedding of the season, it feels like the last day of school because I'm like, oh, I get a break. It's like summer break. I'm like, this is exciting. I get to just like relax for a little bit. And by relax, I mean there's not like an immediate like turnaround for another wedding coming up. And it does feel like a little bit of the weight off of my shoulders is lifted and it just feels nice. But I think what burnout actually looks like for us in this industry is emotional exhaustion, creative fatigue, dreading weekends, and even sometimes building up resentment, whether it's towards clients, vendors, or just the team. And I think that can manifest in a lot of different ways, right? Like maybe the lack of responsiveness on emails or the sheer amount of emails that we have to answer in regards to like logistics and timelines and design details. There's just so much going on. And again, there's a lot of emotion wrapped up in a wedding, right? Like with the client and the client's family, like we're sort of taking on a lot of that emotional distress and we sort of become a therapist, honestly.
Yeah. I have mixed feelings about how people say that wedding planners are also therapists because in reality, it's not our job. We're not trained
No.
to deal with people's emotions in that sense, but it is put upon us to deal with on the day. Like emotions run high, we have to be calm. But I also am not trained to be like, okay, ma'am, it sounds like you are having, like I don't freaking know what to say. I'm
I
like, I
can't
just need,
validate your feelings.
right. I'm like, I just need you to calm down because you're
Yeah.
stressing me out and I don't want to be stressed. But no, that's a great point. The emotional exhaustion. And we are coming home then to also our families, and we have to be present and we have to be ourselves. I don't know about you, but like after a wedding, I need to just be a blob for a day and
Yeah.
I need to be catered to. Actually, I'm a bit of a princess after a wedding because I can't do anything for anybody else the day after. I need to be brought food and drinks and nobody asked me any questions.
Gabby may be this adventurous wedding planner, but she's really a princess who needs
Yeah.
needs to be waited on.
Yes, I do. I
Yeah.
do.
I mean, I think even I hear you. We're not trained therapists, but I think so much just comes up throughout the process, right? Because your client trusts you. For the most part, like most clients are very trusting of me. And so anything that's sort of extra stressful for them, they're bringing up in meetings, whether it's like, well, I had a conversation with my mom or my mother-in-law to be, or whoever it is. And it's like, they're not sure how to deal with the situation. And I think for us, we get to be the neutral third party, but also I think for me, it's often reminding my clients and whoever is bringing up like an opinion, like, hey, actually, this is like the best way to go about that from like a
Past
logistic
experience. Yeah.
standpoint, past experience. And I think they're more willing to listen when
Yeah. Because you're the
like us as a
expert.
professional
Hmm.
tells them something. And I think that helps alleviate the stress. So they're just like, hey, just talk to that professional because she knows what she's talking about versus the client, right? Because that's just, they're kind of seen as like, well, that's just your opinion. Like, I want to know, like, how's it really done? Or like,
Hmm.
what's traditional? I think I get that statement a lot. Like, hey, Carrie, what's most traditional? And it's like,
Yes,
okay, well, you can do it this way, but you don't have to. And that's always my caveat.
that's
I know
true.
it's probably not the best answer, but
No,
I
that's
think it
true
helps
because
people to be like, decide how you want to do it. Like, you don't have to walk her down the aisle. Like, if you don't, if she wants to walk down by herself, great. Or
yeah.
however, simple things like that.
Yeah. They like guidelines, I think. And overall, like this whole topic of burnout, guidelines and boundaries are always going to be top priority, no matter what the situation. And I think that's how we can maybe prevent it a little bit. And on our end is protecting our energy with certain boundaries. And we are people pleasers. We are good in this hospitality world because we have this like innate need to go above and beyond for clients, but you will reach that burnout point so much sooner if you don't put boundaries in place. So, yeah, the family drama, perhaps it is something where you give them an answer, but you leave the decision up to them, like saying, this is what we've experienced in the past, but know that it's your wedding. You have the opportunity to do it however you want.
Yeah. That you saying like family drama, this makes me think of, which kind of leads into like setting boundaries. I've had in the past where it's like wedding week, and this was a long time ago, but the client was like, "Can I put your phone number basically on this text thread so that like the wedding party knows like if they have any questions and stuff?" And they did. Granted, they were not super needy, but I was like, oh, that's a good learning lesson because I was just getting bombarded with other text messages of things going on or like random questions. And I'm like, I don't have the capacity to like answer all of your guest questions. That's why we create a
Yeah.
wedding website and like direct them to a place with answers. But I think setting up those boundaries, right? Like with clients on, for me, it's like, hey, you can email me or we can communicate through IO Planner. You don't really get to text me unless we have a meeting coming up or like we're meeting in person and like you need to get a hold of me. Or we're like a couple weeks out from the wedding and
Mhm.
there's more urgent questions. But otherwise, I'm like, you need to send me an email.
Yeah. And guys, like, know that if the earlier you can set these boundaries and these expectations, the easier it's going to be for everyone to follow them. That's the thing. Like in our welcome onboarding welcome guide, I have my communication protocol. Like you email me the week of the wedding, I'll give you, you can text me, blah,
Mhm.
blah, blah, but do not give my number out to the whole wedding party and all the guests and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think setting those up earlier makes it easy to enforce as you go on.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. What are your thoughts on like, do you feel sometimes that you're treated like a personal assistant? Because it's hit or miss for me. I do have some times where it does feel like there's a certain type of personality that is maybe used to getting their way in this type of hospitality environment. And they come to us as the planner because we're the closest one to them for so many reasons. But they come to us in more of this like personal assistant type of way. And I had that happen recently that I had to have a conversation with the client over the phone and say, guys, there is a very fine line I understand between a wedding planning planner and a personal assistant because that does cross over to some
Hmm.
extent. But let me reiterate yet again, these are some things that I don't do. These are some things that I do. And if you need an additional person to be more of like a concierge on the wedding
Yeah.
day, like running errands or something like that, it's now something that I put in my brochure for certain weddings when we are doing like the multi day weddings that are out of town. I've now included that in my pricing where I add a dedicated day of assistant that is
Hmm.
going to be the runner, kind of how
Hmm.
you see in production sets. Like there's the PA, the runner, the concierge, whatever you want to call it. And
Yep.
I've had that is a something that's been helpful for those bigger weddings that are multi-day, just because people don't think about like, oh, I'm going to need a case of water the morning of, and we're
Yeah.
glamping and there's no hotel to deliver that.
Yeah. That's a great idea. I feel like I've talked to other planners in the past who do dedicate someone to that, and I never really have. Um, I guess that's always kind of been like if we need additional assistance or they are requesting stuff like that, then I would like add that to the invoice of like, hey, we'll
Yeah.
have an extra person. But I feel like that's a great idea to kind of mitigate pulling you from all of that other stuff. I would say though, I have never really felt like a personal assistant. I don't know if it's just my clients haven't been those type of people. Um, but I will say, I guess I have offered on the day of to like do some of those extra things that goes up like for me it's more like just going above and beyond so
Mhm.
that they're like wow like she was really
Yeah.
taking care of us um and that's smaller things where I'm like oh I'll go get you water or like little things like that or like
But
yeah
it
we
was
can send
easy.
somebody out yeah to like go grab that from the store because you
Yeah.
forgot it um but yeah, I guess I've never really had someone be like, steam my dress and, I don't know, like random things that does feel like a personal assistant. I've been lucky, I guess, to not have that happen.
Well, and for me, it wasn't even day of it wasn't like snapping their fingers,
Mm.
wedding planner, do
Yeah.
this. It was actually during the planning process, the couple wanted me to send them an email every month with recapping or every however I think it was every month recapping what payments were due when. But the thing is, all of that information was in their planning portal. So at that point, I did my job, which was import all of the due dates in the portal. Their
Right.
job is to go and look every month or put them on their calendar. Like that's where there was a little bit of like, ooh, it's not my job to be your personal assistant and
Hmm.
say, dear clients, here's what's due. You're getting reminders from the portal. If you need to go and put those on your Google Calendar, that's your responsibility. I am not importing those there. So there was
Right.
just a little bit of a fine line. And that's where I felt I did my job. They have to work within my portal. Like that's the other thing is we are so giving to couples sometimes that I forget to really enforce the fact that they're hiring me. They need to work within my
Mhm.
portal and how I
Yeah.
work with things.
Yeah. There's also a part of me that's like, you're a grown adult. I think you
Yeah,
can manage, like payments that are due, especially for getting an email reminder, like, hey, this is due in 2 days. And I have clients all the time that are like, hey, how do I pay this? Where's the link again? And sometimes I'm like, I get it. There's
sure.
a lot of information and emails and things going around. And those things are easy for me to like, because I know where they're at, right? Um, but I'm like, I'm not managing your Google Calendar for you with all of your appointments that you need to put on there.
Yeah, exactly. And I was trying to think too. I think lately I have been much better about boundaries because I'm not feeling this guilt as much. Like for a long time leading up, I've always felt guilt about not pleasing enough in a way. And I should probably go to therapy for that, but that's a conversation for another day. um, but I'm kind of curious, like, have you ever said no and had a bad repercussion? Because that's the thing is like, actually, every time I say no, no one's like, how dare you? It's always
Yeah.
been, okay, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, no, I think most clients for me, when I say, oh, no, that's not part of the contract or that's extra, they're like, oh, okay, sounds good. Like I think they're just trying to get the most out of their contract. And sometimes I perceive it as they're not really like, oh, is that included? They're questioning, is that included?
Hmm.
Is that not included? So we might as well just ask. Um, so yeah, I guess most people are just like, sounds good, we'll get it done, or like we'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's a good lesson just to not be afraid to say no. Or, like you said, actually, that's not included in the package. And therefore, going back and thinking, ooh, was my package not clear enough? And that's maybe a good point to say, I should go through and make sure I either add a line of, this is not included.
right.
Because a lot of couples don't quite understand the difference between wedding management, partial planning, full planning,
Yep.
and making it very clear what each package has. I even, for some couples, and I think I've mentioned this before, but for some couples that are having a little bit of trouble on the call, understanding what each package does and does not include, I end up creating a separate page that says my role and your role. So
Hmm.
if they're hiring us for wedding management and they're debating if they need full planning, I just say, okay, for the wedding management, here is my role and here's your role. And of course, the your role part in wedding management is a lot longer
Yeah.
than full planning. Full planning, it's like your role is just to decide yes or no on these vendors, pay the invoices, get approval, whatever.
Yep.
And so seeing it that way for for a certain client, they're like, ah, okay. So that
Hmm.
falls into my responsibility. And I've even added that as an addendum to the contract sometimes if I'm a little bit nervous of them trying to get more out of me and me not feeling like I can enforce my boundaries as well with them. So
Yeah.
that's
It's a
that's been a
fine
helpful
line.
trick.
And
Yeah.
I get it's harder to describe to clients because I've never done this before. But for us, we do it all the time. And sometimes it is hard to describe, but yeah, you have to kind of find your own way to help that client understand how like those packages work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, Gabby, how would you say you're preventing burnout moving forward?
Okay, well, I'm taking on less clients to begin with. I think the first thing is like I have always raised my prices every year just a little bit. I recently, in fact, removed wedding management from our website. Again, I've done this before. I've gone back and forth, and so
Yeah.
we'll talk about it probably next year again, and I'll be like, I put it back on my, I removed wedding management because that is the one that I feel is the clients are taking a little bit more advantage and they're trying to get away with stuff. And I was struggling to say no. So,
Mhm.
raised my prices, removed wedding management, and really set those boundaries early on. Like I said in my brochure, your role, my role,
Yep.
it's not up for discussion. What about
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I got rid of wedding management a couple years ago. I will offer it for like two select venues that are really easy for me, but I just was finding I wasn't enjoying it. It just was so like logistics heavy and I wasn't really involved in the process as much. And I agree. I think those clients were trying to just get away with wedding management pricing, but they wanted so much more from me.
Mm-hmm.
Um yeah, I mean, I think we're kind of on the same page. I'm taking on less clients. I don't feel as overwhelmed with the need to like get back to everyone today and like work on every wedding at every moment. So I think that's really helpful. And I think also just setting the boundaries of like clients texting or
Yeah.
emailing and I like schedule a lot of emails so that like
Yes.
clients are like, oh, she's responding to me at 11 o'clock at night. This is great. So I'll respond to a ton of emails and then just be like, schedule send for 8 a.m. tomorrow. And so I think that's really helpful. Even just sort of setting that imaginary boundary of like she's working within business hours, not
Yes.
her working at 11 o'clock at night, even though I should probably fix that boundary for myself.
No, but okay, that's a great point, Carrie, because I think every person should be welcome to work at whatever time they want. If you,
But
because your kid goes to bed and you don't have time to work on your wedding stuff until from 8 to 11 p.m.,
Yep.
that's fine. I think that's perfectly acceptable. But to your point, schedule it so that your clients think you're working within the 9 to 5 time. You don't, you, what you're trying to do in the evening is catch up on things that have happened during the day, but you don't want to receive new emails coming in and have to deal with those. So
Yeah.
I fully think everyone should work. If you're a night owl and you want to work at night, go for it. If you're an early riser, but schedule those emails. I think it's the most genius invention that Gmail has ever created.
Yeah. And I don't think I was utilizing it as much as I should have been. And I'm like, why have I not been doing
Seriously.
it? So, yeah, it's been
Seriously.
helpful.
And also, I would say the fact that we talk about these things is really important. Like finding yourself someone in a group, whether it's a Facebook group of planners or you guys know I'm obsessed with my mentorship group called the Abundance Group. And we Voxer about this kind of stuff all day because there might be little tips and tricks that come up, like scheduling the emails that people are sharing that I didn't know about, or a way to say something. And I've seen those posts come up in local Facebook groups for wedding planners saying, hey, how do I respond to this text? I'm tired of them stepping all over me. I need to
Yeah.
enforce my boundaries. What would you say? And listen, ChatGPT is a great resource now if they get to know your voice and you want
Hmm.
to read over that, but it's a great way for you to not feel like I don't know how to respond. I need to say this more in better words than please leave me alone at this
Right.
hour. How do I say it? So,
Stop
yeah,
texting me. Yeah.
yeah, I've had full-on conversations with ChatGPT as on a therapy type of
Mm.
way, and it's been really interesting. Obviously, they're not a trained and licensed therapist, so please don't fully take their advice, but it's been a great way to do the back and forth because you can
Yeah.
voice text them and they will
Yeah.
voice respond to you.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, yeah, it's brilliant. And it doesn't sound like a robot. It's actually really scary on how much they sound like a real human.
Gosh. Yeah.
And so I've just sometimes had to talk things out with chat and just to get that off my chest. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Okay. So this is how I'm going to respond back to the
Yeah.
client.
Okay. I like that. Okay, so I think we can normalize saying no more often,
Yes.
right? Saying a no to clients if it's not in your contract, it's not within your boundaries. I think most clients are very respectful of that. If not, you should reevaluate the relationship with that client. But I think, again, like we said, they're just asking because they want to make sure they're utilizing you to the best of their
Mhm.
ability. And I think there's a respect there. If you're like, sorry, that's not included, but I can do that for an extra fee, they'll be respectful of that. Again, boundaries, not replying to text or emails at 11 o'clock at night or schedule it. So it's much better. And then I think also, charging for extra hours or extra requests that
Yeah.
clients are making. I think there's a line, like if you're like, you know what, that's an easy task for
Yeah.
me. I can add that in as like going above and beyond to give them a great experience. Go ahead and do that. I often do that, but they're usually low level task or like a lift for me. They're
Yeah.
not really costing me anything or a ton of my time. So I think just being cautious of that and kind of what's above and beyond and what is too above and beyond that you
Right.
really should be charging money for.
Yeah, agreed. And I think protecting your time with the number of weddings you're taking every year, if you want to give each client the best version of yourself without burning out, I still think limiting the number of weddings you're taking and charging more is the way to do it.
Mhm.
I don't like the opposite of burnout where people are going. I guess it's still considered burnout, but you know what I mean? Like, and they're offering just such a basic customer service because they're taking on so many weddings that it's not an enjoyable experience for anybody. I would rather we all do our very best and we make those couples feel like they're our only clients. But in order to do so, we got to protect our energy by, you know, taking on less weddings.
And
Um,
that's a good point too, because I think making clients feel really taken care of, because I think as planners, we've talked about this before, we get caught up in like, okay, it's just another wedding. We've done this
yes.
before. It's like same old to us. But when you like can take a step back, and I think when you have less clients, you can remind yourself like how special this is for them. This
Hmm.
is like their day. Like if you've been married, like thinking back to that and how like special that was for you, your family, your friends. And I think trying to remember that and keep that in mind for clients is really helpful to make them feel really taken care of.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, because if you are not feeling that way, you've really reached burnout and you may want to consider a sabbatical. If you're like annoyed every time you're working with clients and they're the quote unquote best day of their life, which is up for debate because,
Yeah.
but that's a conversation for another mini-sode. Um, yeah, I think it's time that you maybe take a breather
hmm
altogether. And that's okay. Take a
Yeah.
breather and then come back if you want or change careers entirely.
Yep.
And also, like, guys, let's not apologize for taking time off. Put your out of office on. I think that is important. Don't just not answer your emails and not let anybody know that you're on vacation. But we were just in Italy for 2 weeks and I checked emails every few days. But my out of office on was very clear that it was going to be slow to respond. I might not even respond till I get back. I did say in my out of office, though, for my August couples not to be worried. I am checking their stuff because it was a quick turnaround from when we got back from Italy
hmm
to when my first wedding was. And I didn't want them to feel like they were neglected. But actually,
Sure.
the August couples were like, so sorry for emailing you on your vacation. I hope
Yeah.
you're having the best time. But I just had a quick question. Absolutely no rush. So
hmm
they really were very respectful of that time. And we just had their weddings. Now that we're recording this, those weddings have happened and it was flawless. It was incredible. So you come back better, honestly.
Yeah.
Take the time off, come back refreshed and excited, and like your brain reset a little bit.
I think that's such a good insight to boundary setting. And like our clients want the best for us too. I think when you have good clients, they're like, oh my, like you said, they're like, oh my God, enjoy your vacation. You deserve the time. Like I think we get so caught up in like, oh my God, they're gonna freak out. They're gonna be upset that I'm taking time off of work. And like we get to humanize ourselves and our clients see us that way. I think we just have so much pressure on
So
ourselves to
true.
constantly be on. And it's I think that's where the out of office is key, right? Like don't ghost your clients and then they're just like, okay, why aren't they responding? But if they see the out of office reply, then they're like, oh, okay, great. I know it's like in her inbox and she'll get back to me soon.
So true. So true. Well, guys, another mini-sode that lasted a long sode.
We'll maybe get shorter as we go on. Who knows?
Maybe, but there's no guarantee because we have a lot to say about the topic and a lot of you are messaging us to talk about some of these things. So we want to make sure we're covering it. So just to recap, we're professional planners. We are not pack mules. We're not therapists. We're not personal assistants. So set your boundaries, and that is going to look different for every person. Some of you are going to be okay saying yes to certain tasks, and that is fine. We do not all have to offer the same thing and the same level. But if you start feeling like you're being taken advantage of, maybe reassess what's included in your packages. How can you have better communication pre-booking to establish what those boundaries are? The other thing is, in case you don't know, Kari and I are on Substack, which is where we are sharing even more in-depth conversations about certain topics. We don't hold back. We have real life experience stories that we share. And so we drop one bonus episode per month, and you can sign up for $5 a month. We already have a few members. Shout out to them. We have great conversations on there, and we'd love for you to join. You can also subscribe to the Substack for free, which you will get access to some of our posts that we are posting on there weekly, but you would not have access to our bonus episodes. So come on, come join us. We have
Yeah, come
so much
join the
more to say.
party.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jabbers, for joining us on this somewhat mini episode. We will be back in 2 weeks, and we can't wait to chat with you more. Bye,
Bye.
Dublin.